Hi, hello, good evening to one and all present here. So happy to see you all for the day 2 session of Ritual Zoo Ambassador Program. So I want all of you to interact throughout this program. Yes, we have participants joining into our session. So let's wait for 2 more minutes before we go into the actual program. In the chat, I could see many of you are asking about yesterday's assignment topic. The yesterday assignment topic is conservation to coexistence. Okay, that is the topic that we gave for yesterday, and we found that some was not able to submit those assignment, and like it shows like the number that they entered is in. I mean, it is it's not exist. So there is a technical problem over there. We have around 12 entries like that. So we have fixed that problem. So by today you will be able to submit. So those who haven't submit the assignment yesterday with this issue, so they can submit the assignment today. Okay. So we won't send assignment in link. Okay. So to upload the assignment, Mitra, I'm answering your question. So to upload the assignment, you have to visit the Zoo website. So yesterday itself, we have shown a demo on this. Today also, by end of the session, we will be telling you like how to upload your assignment. So those who have any doubts or queries related to how to submit your assignment, we will clear it by end of the day. Okay, we will move on to the session. So hope you all could see my screen. So today's topic is, I hope everybody know from the name itself, you will be able to get it, furry buddies. It means that we are going to discuss, we are going to talk more about mammals. Okay. So when we talk about mammals, we started to know about mammals. We started to read about mammals from we are in kindergarten, right? In LKG, UKG itself, we started reading about mammals in terms of domestic animals, wild animals. So it is there, it is there when we start our education itself. So let's go and see what is more in it. Okay. So first thing is, what are mammals? So what do you know about mammals? So I would like all the participants to make this section more interactive. So you can put your answer in the Q&A tab. So I would like to see them. So what do you think? What is a mammal? So what is a mammal? Yes, mammals do not lay eggs. Mammals are warm-blooded creature. Good. They give birth to young ones. Yes. Okay. Mammals which does not lay eggs. Okay. They which are feeding and giving birth. So we can't say which are feeding. So all animals feed. So okay. So everybody knows that mammal give birth to young ones. Good. So that is the most of the answer I'm seeing. They give birth to young ones. They give birth to young ones. They are viviparous. Yes. Yes, they feed milk. They have mammillary glands. Good. Okay. Fine. Fine. Okay, let's stop this chat. So I'll just have a video for you. So mammals are there in various form. Okay, so before going into mammals, we just have a little overview. Like we have mammals in different diversion, in different variations. We could see mammals. Let's have a quick view of a small video that explains about the mammals.
Mammals are pretty amazing creatures. There's mammals that fly. Bats! Some mammals live mostly underground. Some mammals live underwater. Mammals live where it's cold. Some mammals can live where it's hot.
Okay. Yes, so we do see mammals that fly. We do see mammals are in extreme cold temperature. They are in extreme hot condition. They are arboreal. So they are seen in various forms. Okay. So let's see what are the unique characteristics of mammals. Okay, so we know like the mammals are the one of the most successful animal on earth. Okay, with a backbone. Okay, so we have vertebral column, right? So this how the animals are differentiated into. So we all belong to the phylum Chordata. Okay, like birds, sorry, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So these are the 5 classes which have well-developed vertebral column. So they are categorized under the family Chordata. Okay. So yesterday Manipuli sir told you about invertebrata. So many of you were asking questions. What is invertebrates? Right. So invertebrates are the animal which does not have a backbone. Okay, that does not have a backbone in sense it does not have the vertebral column, and chordates are the animal which has a vertebral column. In that, mammals are the animal which have a well-developed vertebral column and compared to other classes. Okay, so this is the first thing, and mammals are warm-blooded animals. So why warm-blooded animals? You have learned about cold-blooded and warm-blooded animals. Cold-blooded animals, they cannot able to regulate the body temperature. Example, we can tell reptiles. Okay? What do reptiles do? You might have seen, you know, when if you have walked into a zoological park, also you might have seen crocodiles are opening their mouth. Okay, like not only in zoo, anywhere if you went, if you see in the videos also, you might have been seen crocodiles are keeping their mouth open. It's like it's for keeping itself cool. You know, if the body temperature is more, they open their mouth so that the hair get in, so that the body will cool down. So they don't have the control mechanism of maintaining the body temperature. So, but we humans, we have the control mechanism. Like it's not like it's automatically our body used to change, you know, when when the temperature on the outside environment is very hot, the body inside started to getting as cool. So that's why we are categorized as a warm-blooded animals. So mammals have skins. Okay, we have the skin. Every animal has a skin, but our mammal skin is covered with hair. Okay, so except one family called as Cetaceae, that is, they are fully aquatic. Those animals have fully aquatic lifestyle, so they don't have the body covered with fur. So apart from that, other animals we do have. And mammals have split glands and sebaceous gland. Okay, which is not seen in any other classes. So whatever things which I'm talking right now, all the characteristics which is seen only in mammals. Okay, it is not seen in other classes. Classes in sense, whenever I mention classes, it means the birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fishes. Okay, so mammals are viviparous, as you all told, they give birth to young ones. Okay, so mammals are viviparous, but there is an exemption. Okay, I will explain you later. So one phylum, they lay eggs. Okay, so we will discuss in the later part. And the mammals have the external ear. Okay, only mammals we have our external ear, and our teeth are enterodont. So we have enterodont type of teeth, that is, it has canines, incisor, and molars. Okay, this is not found in other classes. Okay, and our lower jaw, not only our, like mammals have the lower jaw with a single bone on one side. See, you can also touch and feel on your cheek, we have the lower jaw, the bone that we have is a single bone. Okay, so if you see in reptiles, this bone will be in a small parts. So only in mammals we can see this lower jaw in a single bone. And if you see the digit it means that hind limbs and forelimbs, we don't have more than 5. Okay, so whatever mammal it may be, so the digits is limited to the number 5. And a mammal, the limbs are either plantigrade, digitigrade, and ungulatigrade. Okay, I will explain you about this in the next slide. And we have a muscular diaphragm. Okay, this is seen only in mammals. So the diaphragm that is between our, you can see in this picture. So it is a type of muscle. Okay, it is a type of muscles that help us to breathe in and breathe out. Okay, so this muscle is seen only in mammals. Okay, this is called as diaphragm. Okay, so next we move on. I was telling about the limbs. So this is a little bit interesting. So whenever you see a mammal next time, just find out which type of limbs that mammal has having. Please have a look here. So they are categorized into digitigrade, ungulatigrade, and plantigrade. Okay, digitigrade in sense they walk on the toes. Okay, the animals like canines, felines. Canines that includes like our wild dog, hyena. Those are canines, and felines are the big cats, and hyenas and some of the species they walk on the toes. Okay, they walk on the toes. They are digitigrades. And ungulatigrades, they walk on the hoof and they walk by using the nails. So we have examples here: horses, cattle, deer, goats, pig, llama, and camels, etc. So plantigrade, we have humanoid influence. Okay, so this kind of humanoid instruments you can see in raccoons. Okay, so and this is you just see the position of the leg, how it is. Okay, so this is what it means. Okay, and haunches, on haunches we can see this kind of feet pattern in bears, human, crocodiles, rodents, wolf, and rabbits. And this kangaroo haunches can be seen in all pyramids. Okay, so they have this kind of feet pattern. Okay, that is a plantigrade feet pattern. So this plantigrade, that means that it is walk on feet. It is categorized into three types. Okay, so we can have a look on this. So let's see other features of the mammals. And mammals are mammals have four-chambered heart. Okay, that we know, that we have been studying in from school days. So other animals are just a three-chambered or four-chambered heart. Okay, so only mammals have other animals are three-chambered. Only mammals are four-chambered heart, and it has a left aortic arch. One second. Okay. Okay, and second thing is RBC or non-nucleated. Okay, if you see the RBCs of human and of not only human, of any mammals, we are non-nucleated, and other animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, they have a little bit larger sized RBC than they are nucleated. And the brain of mammals, we have 4 optic lobes. Okay, so on the dorsal side and the ventral side, we have 4 optic lobes, and a kidney or metanephris, and we have a well-developed systems all over the body, and we have 7 cranial vertebra. Cranial vertebra, that means that the neck bone. Okay, the neck bone, in the neck we have around 7 vertebrae. Okay. So before we know more about our mammals, so it is very important to know our ancestors, right? So in the last 65 million years since the dinosaur die out, it has been age of mammals. Okay, this cynodonts, okay, cynodonts, in the late period of Permian period only, these mammals have started to evolve. So how they found out this animal has some characteristic features of mammal is that they have reduced in the number of bones in the lower jaw. See, generally reptiles, okay, reptiles are our ancestors. So from reptiles only, mammals have been evolved. So how they found out is reptiles species will have a multiple bones in the chin region, I mean in the lower jaw region. So in this animal, it has been witnessed that the number of bones has been reduced and the secondary bony platelet has been developed. What is the secondary bony platelet means? The bone that connects between our nose and the mouth. Okay, so that bony platelets has been seen in these animals. Okay, apart from that, the chickpea with the complex pattern into the crown. Okay, so we have a complex dentation type. So those things is also been seen in our early ancestors, and the brain is also been filled with endocrinal cavity. Okay, so this is about our ancestor. So when we talk about mammals, we should know who is the smallest and largest, right? So bumblebee bat is it is one of the smallest mammal that is existing with us. So weight of this is just around only 2 grams. Okay, and the largest is our Antarctic blue whale. Okay, we know blue whale is the largest mammal on the planet, and it weighs around like 4 lakh pounds. Okay, it is approximately a size of 33 elephants. Okay, elephants are the largest land animals. So blue whale is which is one of the most tremendous animal in terms of size. Okay, and it can reach up to 98 feet in length. So when we go for a classification, okay, it's like classification of mammals, we have divided into 2 subclasses. Okay, the class Mammalia, that is divided into two subclasses, Protheria and Theria. Okay, this therians that includes the marsupials and the placentals. So marsupials, the animal does not give birth to directly young ones. Like for example, I can tell you a kangaroo. Kangaroo is a marsupial. Okay, so that small cub, whatever the newborn will be growing inside the mother in a small patches. Okay, in the pouch. So they grow the young ones in the pouch, and these are some of the example of marsupials. And placentals, we know, like we have, there are huge animals, and that gives live birth to young ones. They are categorized into placentals. And in Protheria, this is something we have to. This is a very primitive class. In Protheria, we have platypus. Platypus and Echidna. So these, they give birth to they don't give birth to young ones. These are the animals that they lay eggs. Okay, so they lay eggs. So that's why they are very primitive. They are categorized as a very primitive mammals. So this is some of the examples. Okay. So let's see the interesting facts of mammals. Like mammals, or we can identify mammal by the presence of fur. Okay, in case of birds or reptiles, so reptiles, if you see any animal that is having scales over the body, okay, so we can tell it could be a reptile. But if you see any animal that has a feather all over the body, we say it is a bird. So when we see any new animal which have fur, so we can just directly put them into the class Mammalia. So they are mammals. Okay, the skin is one of the largest organ in our body, and and it maintains the temperature. Okay, its main function is to maintain and regulate our temperature. Okay, and each hand. Okay, this is the structure of air. Okay, so if you see that we have 2 kind of fur. Okay, the thicker layer of soft fur. Okay, the thicker layer, let's see, the thicker layer at the bottom. Okay, and we have a thin layer. Okay, thin layer of long hair. This only it acts like this outer cover, and this one is the inner part. Okay, and our hair are made up of keratin. Keratin is a type of, it's a kind of protein. So hair is made up of keratins. So what is the function of the skin? Okay, what do the important role of a skin in a mammalian sense? See, it plays a different role. It comes in a different forms, different patterns, and different colors. Okay, so skin is one of the main parts. They play the role of insulation. As I told before, it maintains our body temperature, and also it helps us to recognition, to identify the animal. Okay, if you see here, we have around four four leopards, right? Like we like it's not like leopard. So based on the skin, we were able to classify the animal, either it's a leopard or it's a cheetah or it's a jaguar. Okay, so based on the skin pattern, we can able to identify the name of the animal, and also it acts well as a camouflage. Okay, so here you can see there is a snow leopard in this mountain. Okay, it is just very much camouflage with this environment. Yeah, so this is one of the thing. And apart from that, in some parrots families and all, this hair is used for grooming. Okay, you can see our monkeys everywhere. They just like to groom their members. Okay? So hair plays an important role over there, and they are very sensitive. Okay, they are very sensitive. If you see the skin of rhino or skin of elephant, they are very sensitive to the sunlight. Okay, and our skins also act as a waterproof. They also good in signaling and defensive mechanism. Okay, so yes. So in the skin is also comes in various forms. Okay, in some animals, the skin itself is in the form of prickles and scales. Okay, here are some examples. Armadillos, and if you see pangolin are one of the most animal that is being pouched nowadays, and so their skin and their hair is modified in the form of scales. Okay, and hedgehogs, you can see it as spines like thing, and porcupines, they do have a spines. Okay, the hair is replaced by prickles and scales. And some animal, the skin is replaced by a spots and stripes. Okay, you can see some of the example over here. This is skin of tiger, and this is giraffe. Okay, and this is zebra, and this is leopard. So apart from that, if you go into a back history, in New Guinea, the native dress itself, they like to, it is made up of fur and feathers of an animals. Okay, so that's what they do. It is still, they are still in practice in some places. Okay, but and also people start in previous days, people used to think the fur skins of an animals as a fashionable item, and hunting and trapping was become a big business. Okay, so millions of animals has been killed because of this, and it has close to the extinction. So too many people object to kill the animal for the sake of fashion. So now it is, this habit is being keep reducing. And about the skin, this is something that we have to look into. So this is very interesting. You see Arctic fox here. Okay, so this is Arctic fox. So you don't think that each of these animals are different. Okay, so all these are the same animal. Okay, this is the Arctic fox during the winter season. Okay, so during the winter, the color of the air is white. It's just just camouflage well with the background, backgrounding stone. And this is in the middle. Okay, after winter, when it is nearing summer, their skin is being changed to brown color. Okay, so that also will camouflage with their surrounding. And this is in summer. Okay, in the peak summer, the Arctic fox skin will entirely change to a gray or brownish color. So this is very interesting thing of the fur. Okay. So we are next we move on to, we are endothermic animal, as I told before. The source of our body heat is internal. You know, our source of body heat is internal. The heat is produced by a high metabolic rate. Okay, the body temperature our body temperature, it will be regulated based on our internal feedback mechanism. Okay, it's nothing like that. We have to control it. Itself will automatically control over the body. So this thing we have to, this is one of the special features of our mammals, we could say. So as a larger animal, okay, we could think that metabolic rates are high, but that is not the fact. So since there are larger animals have low metabolic rate than the smaller animals, okay, and they have slow heartbeat. Okay, so they have slow heartbeat and it will not help them to lose the heat very quickly and they live longer. So if you see larger animals like elephants, elephants is it's the largest land animal on the planet, okay, that lives up to 60 to 80 years. Okay, and the heartbeat, if you see its heartbeat, it's just around like 25 to 30 beats per minute. And same way, if you see those rabbits, okay, rabbits can live up to 8 to 12 years, and the heartbeat of rabbit is 120 to 150 beats per minute. Okay? So this helps them for the long survival. Okay, the metabolic rate of the body that decides the survival of the animal. So now we move on to the feeding nature. Okay, so feeding nature of mammals. So mammals are categorized into various forms of feeding based on the habit. So insectivorous. So we have insectivorous mammals. You can see the example here. We have an anteaters and echinidae. So what they do, they have a very long sticky tongue. Okay, they don't have teeth. So they have a long sticky tongue. Okay, if you see the tongue of hand eater, which is one of the largest tongue it has. Okay, so it just put the tongue out into the hole and grab the insects and then it will swallow it. So that's what it will do. So we have insectivorous mammals. Okay, now I would like to, before going to the herbivorous, carnivorous, these terms you have been heard before itself. So before going into this term in deep, okay, I just wanted to test your understanding, what you know about herbivorous. Okay, which form of herbivorous can easily digest the food? Okay, Priyanka, I would like you to open that polling. Yes, which form of diet is more easily digestible? What do you think? Herbivorous diet or carnivorous diet? Herbivorous diet or the green leafy vegetables. People who eat green leafy vegetables, right? So carnivorous or the flesh eaters, all the flesh eaters. So do you think green leafy vegetables is easily digestible or carnivorous, that is meat kind of food, is easily digestible? So we can give you 30 minutes, 30 seconds of time. So please mark your answers and submit it. Priyanka, after 30 minutes, you can close it, Priyanka. For 30 seconds, I'm sorry.
Sure, ma'am. Closed the poll, ma'am.
Yes. Once you close it, you can show us the answer, Priyanka. What is their very good. So which form of the diet is more easily digestible? So 79% students here has told herbivorous diet and 21% has told carnivorous diet. Okay, fine. Okay. So I would like to say the answer that we marked is not right. Okay, so majority of people of us think that herbivorous are easily digestible. Really, it's not the fact. Okay, this too in terms of a wild mammal, not in case of ourselves. Okay, I'm talking about generally about mammals. Okay, so if you see, herbivorous mammals, they do really have a very long digestive system when compared to carnivores. Okay, you can see the digestive system of this deer. Okay, so what it has a very long intestine. Okay, they have a very long digestive system because it is very harder to digest the cellulose that is present in the plants. Okay, when you see carnivorous diet, they have a very short digestive system. So we have all kind of juices, bile juices, which has to digest some meat, but we don't have digestive juices to break the cellulose. So that's why the herbivorous animals have a very large intestine, and herbivorous diets are very difficult to digest. Okay, so this is the thing that I want you to all to know. Okay, so please, if whoever marked the answer as herbivorous, just change it that only carnivorous diet. I'm talking only about the mammals. So we all are omnivorous, you know, like we eat cooked food, some eat green vegetables. So we are omnivorous. We are not into the picture. So we are talking only about the pure herbivorous and pure carnivorous animals. So herbivorous animals. So plants are hard. It's not hard to find. They do not need to run anywhere also. Okay, but they have a very less nutrition. So then the meat. That's fact. So that's why if you see herbivorous animal, most of the herbivorous animal, they keep eating. You know, they keep grazing, they keep eating, they keep chewing. So if you can't see lion or tiger or any canines is doing that. Only if you can see herbivorous animal keep chewing something because they need more nutrition. Okay, the more nutrition is it's not easy to get only from the green leaf. So they have to eat more to keep them fit. So herbivorous animal who have to eat a large quantity of food and need strong graining teeth. Okay, and also they have a very long digestive system. Okay, here I have given you few examples. If you see the intestine of an elephant, okay, so intestine of an elephant is around 60 feet long. Okay, so it is 60 feet long, the intestine itself. And if you see the intestine of giraffe, you know, you can see giraffe always grazing something. Okay, like most of the time it's just spent by eating something. So giraffe intestine is around 230 feet long. Okay, so this is the thing we wanted to tell you today. Okay, so next we move on to carnivorous. Carnivorous, the meats are very highly nutritious and they are easily digestible food. Okay, they have a sharp claws on end of their toes to help them to catch the prey. So all carnivorous animal, they have a very sharp claws at end of the toes. Okay, so big cats, if you see big cats, what they do to sharpen their nails, they used to clean and swab by dragging down the tree trunk. Okay, so they protect them from distracting to the ship. So carnivorous animals, they have a specialized teeth structure. For biting they use incisor, for tearing they use the canine teeth, and for crunching the meat they use the premolar and molar. So their teeth pattern is completely different from us. Okay, I mean, as in sense from human. Okay, so you can see the teeth of our Royal Bengal tiger here. They have a very sharp incision. So what about the omnivorous? So omnivorous animals, they get the nutrition by both plants and vegetables. So here are some of the examples you can see. So this is the difference between a carnivorous, the omnivorous animal. Fruitivorous. This is the fruitivorous in the sense they eat only fruits and vegetables. Okay, this is the teeth of a monkey. Okay, this is the teeth of a human. So you can have a look over here. Okay. Next slide. So when we talk about mammals, it is also important, to know about this ungulates. Okay, so ungulates is one of the special features that mammals have. Okay, ungulates or hoofed animals, they walk on the tip of the toes, which are protected by the hard hoofs. Okay, these hoofs are made up of carotid. Okay, I'm talking about the leg part. Okay, so yes. So there are three types of ungulates. First we are going to focus. We will be focusing on even-toed and hard-toed ungulates. So even-toed ungulates, in sense, we know even what is the even number? 2, 4, right? As I told, as we are mammals, we don't have more than 5 digits, right? So even to 2, 4, okay. If the animals are having a hoof in count of 2 or 4, they are even toes. Okay, some of the examples are given there: swines, camels, geese, and bovines. Okay, the animal are toed in sense if the hoof is like 1, 3, so they are toes. So there are horses, zebras, rhinos, etc. And there is another class that is called as Uranthidae, so where the hoof is embedded within the skin. So this you can see only in elephants and dogs. Okay. So next we are showing you a pictorial definition. This is an even toed. I think this picture will help you to understand more further. So even toed ungulates, they have two hooves. Okay, you can see here. Okay, this is hard toed ungulates. It has only one. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, so whenever you see a mammal, just look into their hooves and find out whether they are even toed or odd toed ungulates. Okay. Okay, there is a quiz for you. So see this picture. Okay, on seeing this picture, we would like you to identify which type of ungulate is this animal belongs to. It is an even-toed ungulate or it is an odd-toed ungulate. Okay, so Priyanka, we can now open up the poll. Yes. So which type of ungulate this animal belongs to? In 30 seconds, you can close this poll, Priyanka. In 30 seconds, you can close the poll and post the answers. Just look into this picture and answer. So which type of ungulate? Yes. Okay, excellent. So 70% has told this is an odd-toed ungulate and 30% has given this is an even-toed ungulate. Okay, fine, good. So best wishes to all the 70%. Yes, it is an odd-toed ungulate. Okay, you can see only 3 toes. Sorry, you can see only 3 toes here, right? So 1, 2, 3. 3 is an odd number, right? So it is an odd-toed ungulate. Okay, so let's have another poll. Okay, so see this picture and answer the question. So we have a hippo here. There is an animal standing here. Just tell us which group of these ungulates belongs to. It's an even toe or it's a hard toe. So those after 30 seconds you can close it, Priyanka. Okay, good. So perfect. I think everybody, 88% of people over here has got it. So it is an even-toed ungulate. Okay. So remaining 12%, whoever told it's an odd-toed ungulate. So it's not an odd-toed, it is an even-toed ungulate. You can see the hoofs, right? Please don't count the snail at the back. Okay, you have to see only the hoof. Okay, so 1, 2. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 is an even number, so it is an even-toed ungulate. Okay. So I hope everybody over here will be able to differentiate the animal on seeing it, whether it's a hard-toed or an even-toed ungulate, right? Okay, good. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay. So this is a kind of adaptation that we see in the aquatic animals. Okay, fins and flippers. So water mammals are smooth and they have a streamlined body with the paddles and flipper-shaped limbs. Okay, their limbs are modified into their limbs are modified into flipper. So this is a type of adaptation that is carried in the aquatic mammals, and they have a very thick layer of fat and fur for insulation. Okay, so they are underwater mammals, and most of the mammals, even though they are in underwater, they used to come to the surface for breathing. Okay, seal and otter can move to the land. Okay, they can also come to the land, but the whales, they never move out of the land, so their habitat is completely in the land itself. Okay, so today there is a special day. So before talking about these animals, I just wanted to do we have a quiz also here. Okay. So, have you seen? Today is a World Ocean Day. I believe everybody of you is known about it. And if you are not known, also please know today is a World Ocean Day. Okay. So every year, every year. June 8th is celebrated as a World Ocean Day. So we are creating awareness around the globe to educate about the importance of oceans. So today we are going to talk about one important animal, since we are doing a mammal session. So I would like to tell you about one very important animal that we should take care of. You are seeing a picture over here, right? Do anybody have known about this animal? Can you able to recognize this animal? I would like to get an answer in the chat box. Do you know this animal? So we can open up the poll, Priyanka. This animal is called as dugong. We just want to know how many of you know this animal. The name of this animal is dugong. Okay, you see two animals there. This is not dolphin. This is not seal. This is not otter. This is a species. This is an animal called dugong. So how many of you know about it? We just want yes, no. Okay, so fine, cool. So 31% of people says yes, they know this dugong. That's really good. That's really excellent. And 69% has told they haven't heard about this animal. Okay, I think this is the right time for us to tell about this animal today. Okay, good. So if you see dugong, so dugong is seen in our place. You know, we are in Tamil Nadu, so here we have students from other states as well. So dugong is found only in few places, only in coastal region. They are seen in the shallow water of the marine. Okay, so they feed upon grasses. Okay, they feed upon underwater grasses. They are the underwater herbivorous marine animal. Okay, in Tamil we call it as a kadal pasu. Okay, so Tamilians over here, this term, I think you have heard about it, kadal pasu. So this animal, it is in highly endangered condition. It is found over near our place, Gulf of Mannar. Okay. So people over here are from Gulf of Mannar and also Gulf of Kutch, Andaman Nicobar Islands. These are the places only where we can find this animal. Okay, and they too can find only in the shallow water. Their diet is only feeding the grass in the ocean. So that is their diet, and they feed upon 40 kgs of grass every day. So that's what they are doing, and this animal is in highly endangered condition. And recent report has showing that this animal population, it is just around 200. So only 200 of these animal species exist. So this is one of the most important animal we have to know. So since today is a ocean day, I would like to tell you about this animal to bring an awareness about this animal. So the species that animals that count that we have is 200, but it is also not the right number. Scientists are expecting that the number could be too less. Okay, so they found this number through a boat survey, and they're expecting this number could be less. Okay, so This animal is very important because they take care of the ocean, and they are the apivorous, and they clean the ocean, like when once they're feeding, they do a lot of work. Okay, you can Google about this animal. Okay, once this class is over, you can Google about this animal and find more interesting facts about it. And if you are doing anything, in creating awareness related to this animal after seeing our zone, after this program, we'll be so happy if you tell us, if you share your stories with us. Okay, we will be very happy to knowing about it, that you come to know from this program about this animal. Okay, there is also another animal in the same features that is seen in manatee. This is found in American continent. Okay, so this dugong belongs to our place. It is endemic to our country, so it is our duty to safeguard and protect this animal, to bring awareness to people about this animal. Okay, I hope our zoo ambassadors have learned from this and they will be doing their job. So we will move on to the next slide. Okay, so here when we are talking about mammals, I would like to bring some notes about the evolution pattern as well. Okay, so evolution, there are two types of evolution. There are convergent and divergent evolution. So when we see convergent evolution pattern, so these are not similar, okay, they're not similar and they are not inherited. So, but they have a common ancestor, just understand this. So if you see this example, there is a bat, there is an eagle, and there is a wing, okay. So all these animals, they use wings for flight, right? So, but their evolution pattern is completely different, okay. So that's what they means. They are not similarly inherited from a common ancestor, but they have the physical structure somewhat related to each other. Okay. And there is divergent evolution. This divergent evolution is also called as an adaptive radiation. So adaptive radiation, so we know the evolution. Whenever we talk, we say that we all come from a single ancestor, right? So we all from the same ancestor. We are from a single ancestor. But ancestor treaties becomes in a various forms, and we occupy a different habitats. So that is called as an adaptive radiation. So adaptive radiation is also called as divergent evolution. So you can see an example of this is the example. You can see there is a structure of a limb of a cat, human, cat, whale, and bat. Okay, they all have a same structure, but the arrangement of the bone is different. Okay, some bones will be very long and some bones will be short. Okay, but if you see the structure, if you see the kind of bone that we have, so all are same. That is called as divergent evolution. With that, we are able to tell that we all come from a same ancestor. So this is the difference between the convergent and the divergent evolution. Okay, so you can have a reading of it. Okay, so then we have endangered animals. So when we are talking about mammals, we also should talk about the endangered animals. I think yesterday Manimuli sir has discussed about this endangered animals. I just want you to just overlook of these animals. So we have in Tamil Nadu lion-tailed macaque. Okay, lion-tailed macaque is one of the most endangered species. In Kerala, we have Nilgiri langoose, Malabar civet, Asiatic lion in Gujarat, wild ass. Just have a look on this picture, so that it will help you to find out the habitat of that animal. Okay, that endemic part of that animal. Okay, so let's go into like let's see some more amazing facts about mammals. So I hope everybody wanted to see a live video about on zoo animals, right? So we will try to show some of you now. First, we will see on tigers. So we know. One moment. So before opening up the video, I would like to tell tiger is a majestic animal, right? So everybody like tiger. So tiger are one of the most intelligent animal in the planet, and tigers they have their own territories. So they have their own territories, and their mothers they are like super moms. Like they take care of the young ones till they are in the age of 2. No, till the age of 2. Other animals they are with the kids for some time and they leave the kids and go away. But tigers take care of the kids for 2 years. And so to mark the territories, tigers use different forms. They spray the urines and they scratches the tree barks. So they do different kind of action, to mark its own territories. And yeah, we will have a look on this tiger. And tiger have the stripe patterns of tigers or like our fingerprints. They are very very unique to each other. Okay, like it's like a fingerprint, and this tiger stripes are not seen on the fur. Okay, we may think it is there on the hair. It's not like that. Tiger stripes are embedded in the skin. Okay, it is embedded in the skin. So now what you're seeing is a Royal Bengal tiger of a zoo. So it is there in the enclosure. It keeps roaming around. So tigers are crepuscular in nature. So they hunt not in day or night. They just hunt in during the evening time, mostly by evening time. They have a very sharp teeth to bite the prey. Do you hear the roaring sound? So it is said that the tiger roar sound can be heard up to 2 to 3 kilometers. It's that much loud in the wild. Next, we move on to the next animal. Okay, give me a minute. So everybody of us likes elephants, right? So I would like to show our elephant. So elephants are one of the most intelligent animal. The brain size is also huge, it's very big when compared to other animals. So what you are seeing here is an Asiatic elephant. So Asiatic elephants are differentiated or very known for the rounded ears. They have a dome-shaped head, and they have only one fingers in the trunk. Okay, so this is our Rohini. We have 2 elephants in our zoo, Rohini and Prakriti. So elephants like to keep their self cool. So they just spray the water around. We have a small pond in our zoo. Okay, where itself it just go inside and play, just take water and splash around it and around the enclosure. So she's playing over there. Okay. So next we will see one of the largest bovine. I think. So what do you think? Which is the largest bovine? So Indian gar are one of the largest bovine. So we are going into our Indian gar enclosure that we have in our zoo. We have 2 gar enclosure. So now you're seeing their feeding time. So they feed in groups. The one that is very dark in color, it's a alpha, so that is the dominant male of this group. And other one which is brownish in color, they are the female part of this animal. So we have two enclosure as I told. So this is the another enclosure. And these are the largest grazing animals. They like to feed on grasses. So here in Tamil Nadu, you can see this animal in our, whenever you go for Nilgiri region, you can see this animal just going in the roadside itself. Sorry. So now next we are going to see one of the endangered animal of our state. Okay, not our state, on the country, like the lion-tailed macaque. To show them. So lion-tailed macaques, these are the old monkeys that lives in group. Okay, so they got the name as lion-tailed macaque because of the tuft in the tail. Okay, so that's why they named us lion-tailed macaque. And also they have a similar main features like a lion in their face. So they lives in groups. Female take care of the newborn. So there is a newborn born in our zoo. So the mother, along with the siblings, they take care of the young ones. They teach them all techniques and trainings, how to feed and how to hunt and all those things. So they feed on leaves. Okay, so leaves, and sometimes they also eat small insects. So they are omnivorous in nature. Next, we will see another animal. I would like to show our chimpanzee. Okay, we have Kombi and Doggy. We have the two chimpanzees in our zoo. So they just leisuring their evening time, enjoying in the swing.
Gauri. Gauri.
So Gauri is sitting and she's just enjoying the swing. So we would like to show you another herbivorous animal, the great Indian rhinoceros. So Aranjana Zoological Park has received a pair of rhinoceros through animal exchange program. So the zoo has got this rhinoceros after 30 years of time. So he is our Ramu. During his feeding time, we have shooted this video. So rhinos are one of the strongest animal. They have a very good sense of smell and hearing. And if you see the vision part, it's not as good as when compared to smell or hearing. Okay, the vision is little less, and they have a prehensile tongue-like lip. That helps them to grasp the leaves and eat. Okay, so this is a rhino. It is feeding. We do give them a multiple feed, and we do follow a very good diet chart for each and every animals in our zoo. So it's not only feeds on grasses. So we give them broad. We give them green leaves, bananas, vegetables, seasonal fruits, etc. So next, I would like to talk about our deers. When we talk about mammals, we should also talk about antelopes and antelopes. Okay, so antelopes or something, they have horns and they shed their horns annually. Okay, so what you see all of whatever deeds that we see, okay, they belongs to antelopes. You know, they have a branched horns, and those horns they just fall down they just grow for a year and then it will fall down, okay, and then it will regrow again. So what you see is a sambar. It's one of the largest deer member. So I would also like to show you an example for antelope. Okay, so antelope, those are the animals that have a permanent horns. Okay, and it is not branched. They will be having a single horn. So I would like to take you to see our antelope. So what you see here is blackbird, the animal that is in brown color, that is the male, and the other ones are the female. So they have a permanent horns. Okay, it has only one horn. You can see that. If you see in case of deers, they are branched, and their horns also will fall down. We will just end up with this. We will see giraffe and zebra, and then we will end up this. So yeah. So this is our bovines. We have already seen. So when you talk about giraffe, it's very important. The giraffes are one of the largest, tallest mammal on the planet, right? So they can go up to 18 feet of height. So if you see giraffe can be easily differentiated. They can male or female. We can differentiate by the horns that is seen on the top of the head. And apart from that, giraffe has a very unique walking pattern. Okay, so just see this giraffe's walks. Okay, so this is called as pacing. So it will move the legs on one side at the same direction. Okay, you can see here. Okay, just keep moving the legs of one side on the same direction. So this is one of the most unique style of walking that is seen only in giraffe. It is not seen in any other animal. So both the legs on the side will move in same direction. So this is one of the interesting fact about giraffe. So they spend most of the time in walking and grazing. So this is also zebra. Zebra's types are also very unique, as we told in tiger. The types of zebras are just like our fingerprints. You know, we can able to differentiate the animal based on the stripes. And they are also grazers. They feed a lot grasses. And 3 species of zebras are alive now, and we could find them in the African continent. We will move on to our presentation. So we have seen various facts and various things about mammals during this session. Now we can go for a question and answer session. Okay, we can talk to 3 of them. So participants, now you can make use of the hand raise option. So we could call few of them and we can discuss. Okay, Mayur Bhatt. Mayur Bhatt, kindly unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself. We have on your mic. Yes.
Hello,
Hello. How are you?
ma'am.
Yes.
Those and if a fight happens between the animals, what do you do, ma'am?
Can you repeat the question? Your first word was just got stuck.
Fight happens like two Indian cows fight each other. What will you do, ma'am, in between the fight, ma'am?
Where you're asking in the wild or you're asking in the zoo?
I mean, better in the zoo, ma'am.
Okay, in the zoo. So generally, if you see, we group animals based on their behavior. Okay, we won't we keep observing animals. You know what is doing, what are their actions, and all those things. So we won't give that chance. Okay, so since it is in a wild, we can manage. Since in zoo, it's not possible. So we keep monitoring them. If we found out anything could happen, we just isolate those animals separately. So before it's happening. Okay, thank you. Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard. Yes. Adish. Hadish Bharati. B. Hadish Bharati.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Yes, Hadish. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am.
Do you like the session?
Yes, ma'am. I have a doubt, ma'am.
What is your doubt?
Is breeding of birds and butterflies also done in zoo, ma'am?
Yes.
Our zoo, ma'am.
Yes, we are doing it. It happened naturally. We provide the necessary things. If have you visited a zoo before?
Yes, ma'am. Many times, ma'am.
Okay, like for example, I can tell you if you go near that Point Calimere sanctuary, we have a point called as Point Calimere Sanctuary, Betangangal Sanctuary. Have you visited there? So
Yes, ma'am.
there you can see on the top the birds have nested and they just started reproducing. Okay, so yes, in zoos also it happens.
What about butterflies, ma'am?
Butterflies also, we have a butterfly park. It happens naturally. We provide them all the necessary things. Okay, zoo is a kind of a stimulated natural environment. Okay, so we provide them whatever is necessary for the animal. Okay, so they will utilize it. They feel that they are in a comfortable place and they start breeding. We do have a big butterflies house. Okay, if you go into it, you can able to find out larvas, pupas, and eggs on the leaf.
Okay, ma'am. And is breeding of also rhinos done, ma'am? Because rhinos are in extinct, ma'am.
Rhinos are not extinct. When you talk about Indian rhinos are not extinct, their population is in endangered condition, and their population is vulnerable. It's not also endangered. So we have a good rhino population, and in zoo we recently only we have bought, and they are very less age to reproduce.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Abhirami. Abhirami Vaidyanath.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine, Abhirami. How are you?
Fine, ma'am. So, ma'am, my question is about the rhinoceros. You had shown in the video that you had shown a rhinoceros in the video, no, ma'am. It is in our zoo.
Yes.
I saw that the rhinoceros did not have horn, ma'am.
See, when you see these are when you have seen maybe some time before, okay. So the when it comes, it is like around like 2 years old. Okay, so once the age grows, only the horns will start to develop. So it's not like once the rhino is born, it will develop or not. So once it get into adult stage, it depends on the age. It depends on the age, the horn will start growing.
So at what age will this horn develop, ma'am?
Maybe around like 7 to 8 years, you can see some good structure.
So, ma'am, why are people hunting these rhinos for their horns, ma'am? So what is the speciality in that horns which may...
See, horns is also the protein that is made up of keratin, just like our nails. Okay, so there is a lot of pouching happening because for the horns, and they feel that it has a medicinal property. For Chinese medicine, they are using it. So that's what they are telling. For that medicinal purpose, the horn is being for the horn, the animal is being killed. So is no such records and all those things. So there is an scrambling that is happening at the background level.
Ma'am, like, does all species of rhinos have horns, or is it like some particular species only have horns and others do not?
So rhino have horns. So
Okay.
because of the horn only they got the name rhinoceros. There is a horn on the nose, no? So because of that only they got the name. There are 5 species of rhinos are there. So our Indian rhinos have only 1 horn. So if you see African species, they have 2 horns. Okay, so sometimes
Okay.
some species have 3 horns as well. So depends on the number of the horns they are categorized.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yuvashti Sai. Yes, Yuvashti.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah. My question is, you told some animals live in cold places and some animals live in hot places. Do the animals that live in hot places could also live in cold?
See, since we are mammals, mammals can able to change the body temperature. Okay, so it depends on our surrounding. Okay, we could able to change the body temperature. See, even we are human beings. Okay, we are in Chennai during hot summer also we are able to survive. And if you are going to Switzerland or Greenland, okay, there also we are able to survive, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Since we are mammals, we are able to survive. So it's not a thing that it's hot or cold. We can able to live.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Hema Valliammai will be the last participants. Yes, Hema, unmute yourself and you can talk. Yes, Hema. What is your question? Hello? Hema, can you hear me? Okay, we can move on to the next participants. Please. Latish, Latish, yes, unmute yourself and you can talk. Yes,
Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am. Can bear live in winter and summer? Why, ma'am, the bear is sleeping in winter, ma'am?
Not all bears are sleeping in winter. Okay, so only bears that live in a very, very cold region, they do sleep in winter. Okay, so that is called as hibernization. Okay, you might have heard us. Have you heard this term, hibernization?
Yes, ma'am, I have seen in this National Geographic.
Right, so only birds that is in the cold places, they do that. So it's just to during the winter to keep itself warm, it needs more food.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am,
Yes.
Titanoboa can come if when the heat is 100 degrees Celsius, ma'am.
What? Can you tell it? Can you tell about?
Forefathers of snakes.
Fathers of snakes?
Titanoboa.
Okay.
It can come when the heat comes to 100 Celsius, ma'am.
Where you're asking it can come? I didn't get it right.
When the what shall I tell? If when
We have a session on reptiles. Okay, so you just have this question. We can discuss it on Thursday. Okay.
say you don't call me, ma'am. You didn't call me, ma'am.
What? No, you just put it in the question and answer tab. Okay, that day I will ask.
Yesterday I asked it, ma'am.
What you asked about the snake? Huh?
Megalodon is alive or not?
What? Meta?
Megalodon.
There is a break in the voice. Okay, I will try to get it done. Get your answers,
One
Latish.
second, ma'am. I will switch up the fan, ma'am. 1 second. Name is Megalodon.
Megalodon.
Hmm.
Okay, so where did you heard this term Megalodon?
In some YouTube videos of fishes and some National Geographic.
Okay. Megalodon. Okay. So megalodons, it means dons in sense they have a very big teeth. They are like they belongs to a shark family. Okay, and most of the members of these species are also extinct. It is not live now.
Okay.
So they live some years before. Okay, and the population of the animals that we have right now has been extinct. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, just 1 minute. So fine, and thank you so much for patiently listening to this program. And I hope it will be very informative for you, and you have learned many informations of mammals. Okay, so and the assignment for your day is challenges faced by large mammals. So what are the challenges that is faced by mammals? So large mammals face more problem when compared to small mammals. So large mammals like lion or rhinos or elephants, they are facing more problems than the small animals, than other small animals. So your assignment topic is not this. We would like you to send the assignment in the form of PDF. Okay, only PDF files are being accepted. You can make a art or drawing, or you can write a poem or anything related to that. So in that aspect, you can submit your assignment. Okay, so this is your assignment topic, and thank you so much for patiently listening this session. So before we winding up, we want to, we have questions from audience, like how to submit the assignment. Okay, so yesterday also we have told it. Yes, yesterday also we have told it, and today also we would like to tell. Okay, so before that, I request Priyanka to run the poll. We just wanted to know, how useful the session is for you today. Priyanka, we can run that poll. We can get the answers. Yes. So how useful is this session for you? So we would like you to rank in the grade of 5. So 30 seconds time can be set up, Priyanka. So once they finish, once they mark, we can close this. So you all think the mammals or the animals that give birth to young ones. So apart from that, there are many things in mammals, and all those things we have discussed today. So I hope the session is very useful for your higher studies as well. So we can see the polling results. Okay, fine, thank you. So 68% as told is highly satisfied, and 26 satisfied, and 5 as neutral. So thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoyed the session and you all had a nice time. Okay, so see you all again tomorrow in another session. We'll be learning more things about the fascinating birds. So see you all. Thank you so much.